Football is
America.
America.
Football
Let's
football
go.
is America. If you don't like it, you can kiss your candy ass at the moment in time. I don't give a damn. Oh my God.
No.
You love this.
It's 30-27. Chiefs win. Chiefs win 30-20.
All right, Rick, that brings us to our final, and in a lot of ways, probably the most anticipated football game on the schedule, because 2 years ago, we saw arguably the greatest playoff game of all time between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. And we've had a lot of time to think about that game since that game happened. And that hasn't changed. I still think that was probably the greatest playoff game I've ever seen in my life. They changed the overtime rules.
A rule-changing game.
A literal rule change for that game because the NFL said we wanted more.
Yep.
That's how good the game was. They got to go to Buffalo this time. This game's not in Kansas City. And the Chiefs, they were able to get that win, but this is kind of a similar theme than what I was just talking about the Eagles. It's kind of not about what the Chiefs did. Now, it seemed like they were getting right on all cylinders, but the Dolphins are not – they didn't play a good game. It's not like that playoff game between the Chiefs and Bills where the Chiefs advanced and we were like, wow, man, the Chiefs are really good because the Bills played great and the Chiefs just were a little bit better. That's not what we have here. We have a Chiefs team that did what they had to do to move on. They looked better than they looked all year, but in the context that the Dolphins looked as bad as we've seen them, they had like 2 first downs the whole game, something insane.
Something stupid.
I think it might have been 0. No, it was 0. It was 0. They didn't have one ridiculous third down conversion in the entire game. So you have to take that into the equation here.
Yeah.
Now, the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes, so there's always going to be that. That's always going to be probably a reason that the Chiefs end up as a -1 favorite, 9 out of 10.
Kyle hates it.
It is what it is. I would hate it a lot more if, we got bounced out of the playoffs because of them or something like that. But at this point, it's just like, whatever.
I know how I feel.
Yeah. So this game, and I actually want to pull up the spread because for this game, I think it's very important to see the Bills. The Bills are the favorite. The Bills are 2.5 point favorites at home. The Chiefs defense, that was a statement win. But again, was it about the Dolphins or was it about their defense? Maybe a little bit of both. Mahomes, he's going to play a good game. He had Rashee Rice going. Travis Kelce had a couple of drops, but ended with 80-something yards, I think, 84 yards, something like that. So I think the Chiefs are going to come in. I think they're going to play a good game. But it's time. It's time for that moment that we have been talking about since we started this channel.
Yeah.
And that moment is a moment where the chips just fall in a perfect way for Buffalo. And somehow a team that started 6-6, that's them. That is them right now. That is, they are a 12-win football team at this point. This is a team that can beat probably everybody and end up in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
I think the best shot is if the Texans maybe knock them off. But the Chiefs, the season they had, they're not no Arrowhead. That is a huge home field advantage.
Yes.
It is the second biggest home field advantage probably in the NFL.
This is Mahomes' first away playoff game.
This is Mahomes' first away playoff game.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the Chiefs, I just, for some reason, I have such a hard time just saying that the Bills are going to win. I don't know what it is. I feel like the Bills are going to win. They're running the football really well. Josh Allen, he's going to get 60 yards rushing and a touchdown probably. It was the Shakir. He's doing really well, filling in for Gabriel Davis as the wide receiver too. And then Stefon Diggs is playing great. I look all around at this team, and it seems like we found that year where it makes sense that Buffalo wins the whole thing. And the Bills were on the losing side of it in Arrowhead. This time, the Chiefs are going to be on the losing side of it, but it's going to be in Buffalo. And it's going to be a hell of a game. But I'm taking Josh Allen to finally get over this hump, because the one thing that's been in his way every single year is the guy he's going to beat in this game.
Taking the Bills. I love it. I love it. Look, for Mahomes' first road playoff game, right? We talked about it. While he and Josh Allen have been quarterbacks of their respective teams, the Chiefs and the Bills have played each other 6 times, splitting those games. But when it matters, and I'm talking about the playoffs, the Chiefs are undefeated. The Chiefs are undefeated in the playoffs against the Bills. And I think that's a huge, what is a huge reason as to why is because of that home field advantage in Arrowhead. And I think it also ends on Sunday Night Football.
Oh!
The Bills take the win.
We finally agreed.
Yeah, we finally agreed. 37-34 is going to be the final score. And look, there is some snow slated for Buffalo, but that's supposed to happen before Sunday. So the weather won't be too much of an issue. There may be some snow on the ground, on the field, in the stadium, something, but I think that's not going to be a huge factor. That's why I'm calculating, or I'm predicting a huge, a high scoring game, 37-34. And we talked about the rule changing divisional game 2 years ago in 2021 that happened, right? That was a huge game. I think the entire NFL came away from that game, like you said, Kyle. The Chiefs were a little bit better than the Bills today. Leslie Frazier on defense for the Bills called a bad defense there in the last 20 seconds or so, right? That's what happened. It's just the Chiefs were better. And I think this year, like you said, the Bills are finally going to be better. Why are the Bills going to be better, Kyle? Because Josh Allen is not taking responsibility for the entire game. He's got a James Cook running back who's their first 1,000-yard rusher since 2017. He's got a 2 tight end set with Kincaid and Knox there. He's still got Stefon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Shakur. We talked about those guys. And Hardy, a rookie wide receiver, Hardy, who's been making some big plays and is there and is reliable for Josh Allen. Last week, Josh Allen was the reason that the Bills won the game, 3 touchdown passes and a run for a touchdown. But again, he does not need to do that anymore, right? He can rely on his other weapons, which he does have a ton of now. What I will say for the Chiefs, they have been a top 5 defense, but that really, and we've said it all year as well as, and the entire NFL has noticed, the Chiefs have been seen to rely on that defense to win games, right? And that's fine. You can rely on your defense to win games, but your offense has to come alive at one point or the other. And the Dolphins game, yeah, sure, we'll call it a win. Absolutely, it was a win, but was it like a Chiefs win that we're used to in the playoffs? It was not. What the Chiefs are good at doing, and what Josh Allen, first 2 touchdowns was last week, is they're really good at keeping the tight ends at bay. So Knox and Kincaid may not be a huge factor in this game because no tight end has scored on the Chiefs defense since mid-December. And that was Hunter Henry for the Patriots. So that just goes to show the dominance on the defensive side for the tight ends for the Chiefs. So they haven't scored since mid-December. That's a few games already. So the Chiefs defense, really good, held the Dolphins to 292 yards on offense last week. Obviously, the elements had something to do with it, and we talked about it. Mahomes wasn't great, and that's one of the reasons we're like, yeah, it was a win, but it wasn't a Chiefs win. 185 yards and some touchdowns, a couple there. But this season, Kyle, Mahomes has had the most interceptions that he's had his entire career. Sure, it's 2 more than his 12 from a couple seasons ago, but it's the most interceptions he's had in his entire career. The Bills have 8 turnovers in their last 5 games and have won each of those, including wins at Dallas, Kansas City, and the Chargers, right? Like, yeah, the Chargers will throw the Chargers in there. They're still a big team, I guess. We talked about Rashee Rice and how Rashee Rice has been the number one for Kansas City and Mahomes. Like that is not up for debate at all. Rashee Rice may be the biggest weapon that they have and the biggest problem that the Bills defense will have, along with Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco runs angry. You and I have said it. He runs like someone pissed and shit in his cornflakes and kept doing it throughout the day. Like he is a mad person when he gets the ball in his hands. But I do think the Bills are about to win this game 37-34 on Sunday, and they finally get that monkey off their back, that chip off their shoulder. They're going to beat Mahomes and the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football and advance to the AFC Championship game. Bills Mafia, baby. You guys are going to be ready for the AFC Championship game.
I agree with everything, like all of it. But another thing I would add is even if it snows,
even the LaFleur decision that I was talking about
for this game.
Oh, okay.
For this game, even if it snows the night before, the field's going to be green. And you're like, there's not probably a better stadium for getting the field ready to go. When it snows like the Bills. Like we were supposed to get all this bad weather, like they had to move the game. Yeah. People were shoveling snow. Volunteers were shoveling snow. And then the game kicked off and I didn't see snow anywhere. Not even a little bit, like on the side. Like it looked like that never even happened. So I don't think it's going to snow. Or I don't think the snow, even if it happens Saturday night, I think by game time, field's ready to go.
Yeah.
Another thing is 11 of the top 15 rushing teams are in the playoffs or were in the playoffs.
Oh, wow.
Right? And Buffalo is the number 5. Buffalo's the number 5, 132 rushing yards per game. A lot of that has to do with Josh Allen. They had 144. They're averaging 144 rushing yards in their last 3 games, though. So they're still going up, including 179 yards on the ground last week.
Jeez.
The Chiefs are not one of those 11 teams that I named. Pacheco does run hard, but the Chiefs are 16 or 18 in rushing yards per game. I think that's going to be really like the difference in the game.
Yeah.
The key of beating Mahomes is keeping him out of the game. And how do you do that? By owning time of possession. And how do you do that? Getting first downs and running the football. Buffalo is going to be able to run the football in this game. Now, I understand that the last game was a shootout. I'm going a little bit different with this one. I'm taking Bills 23-20. I don't think that this game is going to be a super high-scoring game because I think that Buffalo, I think there's going to be a large part of their game plan intended to kind of just take their time with the football, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be, like you said, we haven't really seen Buffalo with a team that the pressure's not all on Josh Allen. And there's somebody else that can run the football that actually has to be respected in the backfield. And we're not just saying that Buffalo has a real rushing, the stats back it up. 132 rushing yards per game. That's crazy. That's insane. So I think that's going to be key to this one. I think Buffalo is going to be able to drain a lot of the clock. Mahomes is I think he's going to be getting antsy, man. He's going to be watching the 6-7 minute drives happen. He's going to have to pick up a football and start throwing it and just like,
pacing.
when am I going to get it back on the field for this game? Yeah. And I think that's why Buffalo's going to get it done. They already tried to get into a shootout with Mahomes and they lost. I think they learned from that and they take a completely different approach in this game.
You know what would be the cherry on top of this game, Kyle? The cherry on top of this game is if they go in overtime, the Chiefs score first. They get the ball back, score, and get the win. How great would that
my God. Be? This would go down as like a series, like a documentary.
Full circle moment, baby. Full circle.
That would be insane. And look at even Pittsburgh, they weren't running the football very well last week. With Najee Harris had under 50 yards. I
Jalen
think
Warren too. Yeah.
yeah, I mean so Buffalo, as far as their run defense, I mean, because you have to respect Pacheco as a runner. He's a
Yeah.
very, very hard runner,
Yeah.
and he's a huge part of what the Chiefs do. And they're
Mhm.
going to come out and try to run the football too, but they're just not as good at it. The
No.
numbers don't back it up. They did
No.
have 134 rushing yards per game in their last 3, but they had 147 last week against a Miami team that couldn't tackle. It was too cold. They
Yeah.
couldn't move. I think Buffalo, right at home, they're used to the elements, and they're going to be able to make some of those hits.
I cannot wait for this game. Like you said at the beginning of it, introducing the game in, like this is probably the most anticipated divisional round game because 2 years ago, this was probably still one of the most anticipated divisional round games, and it ended beautifully. Obviously not for the Buffalo Bills, but it ended beautifully for NFL fans who were not fans of the Chiefs or of the Bills. And I think we're going to get that again this weekend. And the fact that it is the last game of the divisional weekend, I just think that that's perfect. The NFL script writers could not have chalked one up better than this one right here.
My very last stat is rushing defense, because we talked about both teams and their ability to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
Where do both of these teams rank when it comes to stopping the run, which is going to be a major part of this game? Well, I'm glad you asked. Buffalo is ranked 15th, and Kansas City is ranked 16th. They are
Wow.
literally neck and neck. They're not even a full yard separated. Not even 1 yard
Really?
separated. All of the data from every single game, and they find themselves not even 1 yard separated. These are almost identical defenses with stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of other factors like how well Buffalo runs and what kind of
Yeah.
running teams you face during the year. And
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, I think you could say the Chiefs have a better overall defense than Buffalo. But I also think Buffalo can do more offensively than Kansas City, which literally makes up for the perfect football game.
Exactly. Cannot wait for this game. And